my beloved child, have you not felt the weight of your searching? You have wandered down many roads, some bright with promise, others dim with disappointment. You have tried to hold meaning in your hands, only to watch it slip through your fingers like water. And though you gathered wisdom along the way, there have also been moments when you sat down, weary, wondering if you had missed something essential. But hear me now, you have not missed me. I have been walking with you through every path, even the ones you later regretted. Your spirit has always been known to me, and the longing that still rises within you, that restless ache you cannot quite explain, is your soul remembering where it belongs. That ache is the homing signal I placed within you, guiding you back to me, and here, in my presence, is the homecoming your spirit has searched for all along. Do not think of this as returning too late. I am not bound by the clocks and calendars that weigh so heavily on your heart. You see years behind you and wonder if time has been wasted. But I see every step as part of the journey that has brought you here. Even your detours are not wasted, for each one taught you the sound of emptiness so that you would recognize the fullness of my love. Every disappointment softened your defenses. Every regret carved a deeper space in you that only I could fill. Come and rest now, for you have spent much of your life clenching your fists, against fear, against sorrow, against your own failings. You held yourself tight, thinking you must hold everything together. But I am asking you to release that grip. Unclench, my child. Let the tightness fall away. When you open your hands, you will find that I am already holding you. You are not falling into emptiness, but into the arms that have carried you all along. Do you remember the times you believed you were alone? Nights when you lay awake with tears soaking the pillow, or mornings when your heart felt too heavy to rise? I was there in those hidden hours. I counted every tear, and not one was wasted. I carried your sighs as prayers, even when you had no words to give me. You thought silence meant absence, but in truth, silence was where I cradled you most closely. Now, I invite you to see your life with new eyes. The world tells you to measure yourself by accomplishments, by strength, by what you can still contribute. But I see you differently. To me, your worth is not in what you have done, but in who you are, my beloved creation. Precious, irreplaceable. No mistake, no regret, no failure can erase that truth. Every wrinkle on your face is a line of history I have cherished. Every scar is a testimony of survival I have witnessed. Every moment you thought you were unseen, I was watching tenderly, delighting that you are mine. This homecoming of the heart is not about leaving behind all you have been, but about gathering every part of your story into my embrace. I celebrate not only the triumphs, but also the fragile places, the seasons you thought were wasted. For I can weave beauty from threads you thought were broken. Nothing is lost to me. Every page of your life, even the torn ones, belongs in my book of redemption. I know you sometimes fear the future, wondering what these later years will bring. Will your strength fade further? Will you become a burden to those you love? Will your days grow quieter, lonelier? My child, do not let fear write the story ahead of you. I am already in the days you have not yet lived. I am preparing mercies for you tomorrow, just as surely as I provided them yesterday. What lies before you is not emptiness, but fullness, not abandonment, but companionship. For as long as breath fills your lungs, I will fill your spirit with my presence. And even when breath ceases, when you step from this world into eternity, that will not be an ending, but the final chapter of homecoming. Here and now, I am inviting you to taste the joy of belonging before that day arrives. You do not need to wait for heaven to know my embrace. You can live in it now, moment by moment, breath by breath, and let peace settle deep within you. So listen, you are home, not because you finally earned your way here, not because you fixed yourself, but because my love has always been your dwelling place. Let this truth untangle the lies that cling to you. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are mine, and I rejoice to call you home. As surely as morning follows night, this invitation will never be withdrawn. Every sunrise is my reminder that you are welcome, that you belong. Even in the twilight of your years, I am writing new beginnings. Even as your body slows, your spirit can awaken more fully to me. Do not despise your limitations. They are simply invitations to lean more heavily on my strength. Come closer, child. Lay down the burden of striving. Stop rehearsing your regrets. Rest in my nearness. Let your soul breathe again. This is the homecoming your heart has longed for, and it is not temporary. It is eternal. It is unshakable. It is the place where you can finally stop searching and simply be. My child, have you ever watched sunlight as it finds its way through the narrowest seam of a shuttered window and thought, how did that small beam know where to go? Grace is like that light. It does not demand wide doors or polished floors. It slips through the smallest fissures of your life, the places you thought were too broken to ever be mended, and it begins to warm what has been cold for so long. You have carried many kinds of cracks, the ones shaped by loss, the ones carved by choices you regret, the hairline fractures that run under the surface of daily living. They are not signs of failure to be hidden forever. They are the very openings through which mercy enters. I do not wait for you to be whole before I pour out my compassion. I pour first, and it heals as it flows. That is the surprising way of divine love. It meets you in your imperfect state and makes you whole by being with you there. Too often you thought grace would look like grand gestures, a cleared ledger, a bright new start, a public vindication. And when your life did not conform, shame pressed you down. But grace prefers humble entrances. It arrives as a soft correction in the middle of an ordinary day, as a sudden memory that turns from bitterness to gratitude, as a hand that reaches for yours in the dark and stays. Do not disdain these small invasions. They are the workhorses of revival. In them, I quietly remake you. Remember the times you believed regret would be the last word. You rehearsed old mistakes until the remembering itself became a wound. You measured yourself by what you had done and lost the capacity to see who you were becoming. Listen to me. Regret is not a sentence but a doorway. When you turn toward it with honesty, not to shame yourself but to understand, you let light touch the jagged edges. Grace softens the corners. It smooths the places that once hurt so sharply. And sometimes, in the softening, you learn a tenderness you could not have learned any other way. You may be tempted to hide the cracked places, to paint them over, to pretend all seams are sealed. But I call you to a braver honesty. Bring me the brokenness. Set it honestly before my face. Do not fear that confession will expose you to rejection. I am not a judge waiting to tally your errors. I am a healer leaning in to know the precise place where balm is needed. When you name the wound, you no longer carry it alone. My touch, which has always been near, becomes palpable. I bind what is bleeding and teach you to walk again. There are simple ways to let grace work in you day by day. Begin with small practices that turn your heart toward my presence. Offer me one regret each morning, a short, honest sentence, nothing elaborate, and then breathe out the judgment you've been keeping. Let gratitude collect beside that regret. Name one good thing from the same season. By holding both together, you allow me to reframe the memory, not by erasing truth, but by weaving it into a larger tapestry of meaning. Over time, these small habits expand the cracks into windows through which peace and purpose enter. Do not underestimate the power of gentleness toward yourself and toward others. When you meet the younger selves within you with harsh words, you harden the seams and block the light. But when you return to those younger selves with compassion, you create a channel for healing. Speak kindly to your memories. Tell the child who was hurt that you see them, that you sorrow over what they endured, and that you are bringing them home to safety. I delight in these tender acts, for they mirror my own way of receiving you. I want you to notice how sorrow can become soil. The places that felt barren can, under my care, bear fruit you never expected. Perhaps the grief you thought would drown you has taught you deeper listening. Perhaps the embarrassment that once shut you away has become a source of laughter and humility that draws people near. These are not cheap consolations. They are the slow, steady reworking of a life by a patient love. Trust that I am at work even when you cannot see progress. Grace is industrious. It does not announce itself with fanfare always, but it is always busy bringing life where death had seemed to settle. You are tempted to compare your mending to the mending of others. Do not fall into that trap. Each life has its own pattern of cracks and its own light. Your healing will be faithful to your particular story. Celebrate small turnings, a softened thought towards someone you once could not forgive, a day when you did not replay an old injury, a moment of generosity when you had thought yourself too small to give. These are the quiet victories that prove grace is seeping through, doing what it does best, making beauty from brokenness. And do not mistake persistence of struggle for absence of mercy. Some cracks remain visible. They may be part of you forever as a testimony. I do not take them away merely to erase suffering. Sometimes I keep them as memorials of how I brought you through. Like the veins in a leaf that remain after it is pressed between pages, the marks of your life show the path you walked and the love that followed you. They do not lessen your value. They heighten it, for they reveal the depth from which you have been loved. Finally, my child, let hope become your companion. Grace is not merely a one-time event. It is a current that continues to flow. There will be days when the cracks feel raw again. That is part of being human. But do not be dismayed. Each reopening is another chance to invite my light deeper. Keep returning, keep naming, keep trusting. I will meet you again and again. I will pour in patience, understanding, and new courage. Your life is being healed not by speed, but by faithfulness. So bring me your fractures. Lay down the heavy ledger of what you owe yourself and others, and let me rewrite the margins with mercy. Watch as grace slips through the smallest seams and begins to fill your rooms with warmth. This is my promise. I will not leave you in the places that hurt. I will come to where you are, and I will make of your cracks a cathedral of light. My beloved, listen closely. Redemption is not a distant idea I teach about. It is the current of my heart. I delight in it. I delight in the slow, quiet turnings of a life toward truth, even the ones no one else noticed. When you thought your small acts meant nothing, when you measured worth by applause or by the size of your successes, I was celebrating things you never put on a resume. I rejoice in the way you bent to help another when your hands trembled. I rejoiced when you chose patience instead of sharp words. I rejoiced when you forgave yourself, that tiny, brave mercy that untied a knot inside you. These are not minor, they are the true currency of my kingdom. Do not let the world tell you your contributions are finished because your pace has slowed. I see the quiet ways you keep giving, a phone call that stayed longer than expected, a touch that lingered on a shoulder, a memory shared that eased someone's loneliness. These are the acts that stitch grace into the fabric of community. You may consider them ordinary, but to me they are luminous. Redemption often works in whispers, not trumpets. It comes as a consistent choosing again and again to love when it would be easier to withdraw. You have been tempted to think that only dramatic repentance matters, a single grand gesture that rewrites a story. That is not how I usually work. More often, I delight in small turnings, the countless moments when you turn your heart back to me, when you choose truth over convenience, humility over pride, compassion over judgment. Each soft decision is a seed of redemption. Over the years, those seeds have grown into groves you did not expect, deep-rooted changes that reshape how you see yourself and others. I want you to carry this truth into your days. Your identity precedes your deeds. Before you ever did anything impressive, I called you my own. You are beloved by design, not by degree. Even when regret whispers lies that your mistakes define you, I am here to say otherwise. I will never allow your errors to have the final word on your worth. I do not subtract my love for every fault. I meet you in your faults and love you toward healing. You are treasured for who you are, not for what you accomplish in any given hour. Think of your life as testimony, not only to the world, but to me. Every small kindness, every moment you chose courage over comfort is part of a story that matters. Imagine a tapestry made from threads of ordinary days. When viewed from a distance, the picture is glorious. You cannot see that whole pattern from where you stand, but I can. I remember the times you showed up even when you were afraid, the times you loved imperfectly but faithfully. I am the one who knows the long arc of your heart, and I celebrate each steady bend toward love. There is freedom here. Freedom to be both honest about your past and grateful for how far you've come. You need not pretend the hard parts never happened. Bring them to me. Lay them before my feet. In the telling, you invite my redeeming touch. Sometimes redemption looks like reconciliation with another person. Sometimes it looks like an internal shift. Suddenly you do not flinch at a memory. Suddenly a song does not cut as it once did. These are real changes. They are not theatrical. They are the quiet work of my spirit reordering what shame had scrambled. Don't underestimate the power of remembering well. When you recall your story with my presence in it, the memories change shape. Remembering with me is not about erasing pain, but about placing pain into a wider context of grace. Tell me your story out loud if you can. Speak the names of those you loved and those who hurt you. Let my voice be the echo that follows. I will stand with you in that telling, and I will help you see how even the smallest acts of love you offered were seeds that bore fruit you might never have witnessed. You may worry about legacy, the mark you will leave when your days here end. Hear me. Legacy is not measured only in buildings or fame. Legacy is found in the lessons you whispered to others without making a spectacle of it, in the way you taught humility by being humble, in the steadiness of your presence when storms blew through someone's life. Children and grandchildren will carry fragments of your character that you may never know. That which seems small now may become someone else's compass. Trust that I take your seemingly insignificant moments and use them to steer hearts toward the good. Celebrate yourself with my eyes. I want you to rehearse the names of the small victories. Remember the mornings you rose even when you did not feel like it. Remember the days you chose forgiveness and how it loosened you. Remember the nights you prayed in the dark and felt no immediate answer, yet you kept returning. These are not failures to hide. They are milestones of a soul on pilgrimage. Tell them to me. Let me celebrate them with you. My joy in you is not conditional on performance. It is spontaneous and fierce. When you encounter younger people who doubt that small acts matter, teach them by living out what you know. Show them that redemption can be ordinary and relentless. Offer grace without waiting for an apology. Give love without tallying merit. In these actions, you will be a living sermon. Your life will preach not through rhetoric, but through habit. In doing so, you pass on the secret I have cherished, that the small, steady things shape eternity. And when sorrow returns, as it sometimes will, do not be surprised. Even redeemed lives feel the pull of old griefs. That is part of being human and part of the refining process. Come back to me again. Let me remind you gently of the truth you know. You are loved beyond calculation. You are celebrated not because you earned it, but because I delight to declare you mine. My cherished one, have you noticed how each morning arrives without asking your permission? It slips over the world with a quiet insistence. Light spills, birds name the day, and breath returns to your lungs. In that ordinary coming of morning, I have hidden a promise for you. Mercy renewed. Not a fragile mercy, but a steady, ample tide that rises whether you feel deserving or not. Each dawn is my signature across the sky saying, again, come, begin. You have lived through many mornings, some bright, some heavy with grief. In your years you have learned that life's rhythms are neither wholly under your control nor entirely random. There are seasons of harvest and seasons of thinning. Yet through every season I remain constant. Mercy is not something I dole out sparingly. It is woven into the day itself. When you wake, even if your body aches or your memory stumbles, my compassion is already at work, arranging small mercies into your moments. Notice them. Let them collect like droplets on a leaf until you can see the whole ocean beneath. Let this truth change how you meet the day. You need not perform for my favor. Begin simply. A breath offered, a quiet greeting to me, a moment of noticing. These are not trivial routines. They are doorways. In them, you invite my presence to shape the hours. Perhaps it is a single line of prayer whispered before the kettle boils. Perhaps a few slow steps on the porch. Perhaps a hand resting on your chest to feel the truth of being alive. Such small practices do not demand perfection. They demand attention, and attention becomes faithfulness. Over time, the habit of looking for mercy trains the heart to expect me and to receive me. There will be mornings when the old fears return: fear of loss, fear of being forgotten, fear of failing those you love. When those mornings come, do not let them write the whole day. Name the fear to me as you would name a hurt child, gently, honestly, without shame. Bring it into the light of my presence and watch how it changes form. Often a fear that sounded enormous in the dark diminishes when spoken aloud and placed in my hands. Mercy meets you there not with a scolding, but with balm. I do not chide your trembling, I steady it. I do not count your worries as proof of weakness. I take them and teach you to trust again. I also invite you to practice receiving as an act of worship. You have given much in your life: love, wisdom, care, and you may believe that receiving is selfish or unsafe. But to accept kindness, to allow comfort, to rest in what others offer, is to honor the gift they reflect and to receive the mercy I place through human hearts. When a friend calls, answer not only with obligation, but with openness. When a hand is offered, take it, and let human tenderness be a channel for my compassion. There is dignity in dependence. There is holiness in letting others bear part of your load. In this, you teach those who love you how to love more fully. As you move through these later years, think often about the small rituals that anchor you. Maybe it is music that stirs memory and joy. Maybe it is writing a line of gratitude each night. Maybe it is lighting a candle when the day feels too heavy. These acts are not superstitions. They are the grammar of a life practiced in hope. They remind you that mercy is not only for the dramatic moments, but for the quiet ones too. In the steady repetition of simple practices, you discover that my mercies are not occasional fireworks, but a daily sunrise that renews the color in your life. You may wonder about legacy. What will remain of you when names fade and photos yellow? Hear me plainly. Legacy is a living thing, a warmth passed along, a courage taught without lecture, a hand extended in a time of need that taught another how to reach. Leave gifts of presence more than perfection. Tell the stories that bear witness to how you have been loved and how you have given love back. Teach by way of example: how to forgive, how to hold grief and joy in the same hand, how to begin again when endings come. These are the legacies that outlast monuments. They are the mercies that travel beyond your sight. And when night draws closer, do not fear its hush. Twilight is not a thief, but a friend that gathers the day and prepares you for rest. If worry arises about what you could not fix or what you wish you had done differently, hand those things back to me. I will keep them. I will transform them. My mercies are larger than the ledger you keep of mistakes. I do not count deficits the way you do. I catalog moments of return and respond with abundance. Let my mercy be the last voice you hear each day, a soft assurance that you are loved, that you matter, that tomorrow's dawn will greet you again with open arms. There are also moments when you will want to give those mercies away. Teach others how to accept them. Bless those who care for you by allowing them to serve you. In their serving, they are shaped. Speak gratitude often. A simple thank you opens channels of blessing. Share stories of how mercy found you. Your testimony becomes a map for someone still wandering. In such giving, you become an instrument of the very grace you have received. And in that continuation, mercy multiplies beyond measure.